To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Kingdom Report Live time is here. Happy Saturday, everybody. Wade Heath joining you from the Warner Brothers Studios Media District here in silent Burbank, California, as the continuation of California shutdown happens, and across the world we deal with the reality of COVID-19. But let's pump some magic into your weekend as you self-isolate and quarantine. We really do appreciate you joining us here today. There's a lot to get to, a lot to cover, but I figure let's start with some great positive notes. How about that? Let's start with, last week's interview that we had with Carl Goldman. Carl came to us from his quarantine environment in Nebraska, where he was being treated for the coronavirus. He spoke to us last week at length about what it's like living with the coronavirus, was taken off a Princess cruise back in January and had been in Nebraska in sort of a holding cell ever since, being taken care of by a nursing facility and folks that were testing him regularly to see if he was going to come out of the coronavirus. He spoke to us last week and had a lot to share, including everybody needs to calm down, which I thought was a great perspective coming from a man who has it. But it was wonderful to hear from him directly, and certainly wonderful to hear what he had been through and how he's sort of making lemonade out of lemons. Well, shortly after our broadcast, he was tested once again for the coronavirus, and he has to test negative 3 times in order to be released. The best news happened, and that is earlier this week, Carl Goldman, Santa Clarita resident here in California, had tested negative for the coronavirus 3 times. And so Carl has since made his way back to California. He is finally out of his containment, out of his quarantine, and he is so happy to be back with his wife in Santa Clarita, and we are thrilled for him, especially having just spoken with him. And he, the night before our interview, had tested positive for coronavirus yet again. So after it was 39 days at that point, I think it was about 43, 45 days in total where he ended up spending in quarantine out in Nebraska. So he finally gets to see the sunlight again, not snowy Nebraska anymore. He's back in California with us, so we're thrilled. Something else that I wanted to share with you to sort of brighten your day. I don't know if you've seen it. It's gone viral. It's all over the place right now. But in case you haven't, we have to show it to you. This is making its rounds on Facebook. If you can't go to Disneyland, if you can't enjoy attractions yourself, well, why don't you create it on your own? Let's take a look.
Please keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the boat. And watch your children. And no flash pictures. Prepare to make sail.
I will not talk. propose a toast. Drink up, me heart is yo-ho.
Well, if that doesn't put a smile on your face, I don't know what will. Truly something that we want to thank Julie Foster Thornock for posting that video there of everybody creating their own Pirates of the Caribbean, a beloved attraction at Disneyland, now a beloved attraction in people's homes. If you just have enough imagination, you can do anything, right? As I had mentioned, Wade Heath here from Burbank at the Warner Brothers Studio Media District. We do have folks joining us today, as we typically do, but practicing our social distancing, we wanted to make sure that we are doing our parts, and therefore, not only have I come in with Clorox disinfectant wipes, these disinfectant wipes right here. I've been wiping down everything as I go, making sure that especially my phone is taken care of. But in addition to that, here in studio with me, locked away in the production dungeon, is producer Curt. What's going on, man?
Not much, you know.
Not much?
Just staying away from everyone.
Yeah, I brought my can of Lysol too. I will spray you in the face if you get within 6 feet of me.
Okay, that's fine.
Just keep that in mind.
Granted, that's perfectly all right.
Yeah, we're gonna hit you in the face with that one. If you get too close, I would do that on a normal day, and I'm going to do it today if he gets near me. And of course, people that usually join us here in studio, AttractionFaction.com's own, our Kingdom Report Live contributors, Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzone, broadcasting from home today.
Hello. Back on this back to the Skype days for us almost. This is different Zoom thing, but you know, feels very similar either way. Hi Wade. Hi Curt. Good to see you guys.
Hi guys. Keep
Hello.
your social distancing. Ugh.
Distancing. Well,
Yeah,
us
there we go. That's the word.
us being in the split screen here, if we can jump back to it, we could technically touch if we just reach out and almost
Wait, this
oh
side? Or wait,
almost
wait.
nearly
There you
yeah.
go.
Look at us, huh? With the power of
We did it.
virtual
Virtual touching.
there's still a connection.
Welcome to the future.
That's right. Yeah, this is what it's all about. But great to have you guys joining us, and thank you for doing your part as we all get through unprecedented times, a word we continue to hear thrown around. Unprecedented. Everything is unprecedented right now, but truly is amazing to have not only a show still going on, but also to be able to share with you a lot of what's happening around Disney parks and what's going on within the Disney organization at this time. And we'll jump right into it. We have a lot to cover today. One of the big things is Walt Disney World has released some updates when it comes to the coronavirus closure, including annual pass extensions and refund policies as it is. We took a look at some of the biggest notes from this, and when it comes down to it, obviously Disney is still remaining closed domestically through the end of the month and then sort of reevaluating. And I know that when it comes down to hotel reservations, Disney is going to waive all imposed change and cancellation fees up to the date of check-in through June 30th, 2020. For any prepaid dining reservations or experiences, reservations like Droid Depot during the time when the parks are closed, reservations for dessert parties, that sort of thing. All prepaid dining experiences will be automatically refunded if they are scheduled between March 16th and March 31st. So keep that in mind. And as we have shared many times, if you're somebody that has a trip, booked more out further into like the end of April, beginning of May, somewhere in there, hang on. Don't cancel yet. Disney's being very generous with these policies and allowing you to cancel all the way up to the date. So hang in there. You don't know what's going to happen. It does sound likely that this whole sort of shutdown feeling, this whole quarantine and isolate yourself in your home, it may continue. So there is that to think about. It may be a little bit longer than expected, but we don't know. We just don't know what's going to happen next. So as every day things seem to change, you have no idea if maybe at the end of April, beginning of May, the theme parks may potentially open back up. And we're going to dive into that in a deeper discussion here in just a little bit. One of the other things that we want to touch on is in that same breath, while I'm saying, hey, you don't know. Maybe things can get a lot better very shortly. Well, it does look like Adventures by Disney has canceled select departures going on through June. So this might be a hint as to what Disney Parks and Experiences is up to and what they're thinking about, knowing that Adventures by Disney is sort of a guided vacation by a cast member in different destinations around the world. Knowing that they are canceling itineraries through June kind of tells me that parks may follow suit, potentially. So we will definitely see what's going to happen. I know here locally, Knott's Berry Farm, America's first theme park, as they're known, they have just recently come out and said, not until probably middle of May will they even consider reopening. So we continue to hear these dates being pushed out further and further. But again, if you're somebody that had booked a Disney trip, had booked a Disney vacation, and it's out like sort of at the end of April, beginning of May, hang in there, wait a little bit, let's see what happens, and don't necessarily pull out if you don't need to. If it's your own personal choice and you're concerned about getting around big groups of people again, especially that soon in the future, then completely understand. And to a certain degree, that's what we're going to be talking about today, is just how much should we be concerned about the future of Disney parks and the experiences that they provide. There's a lot to dive into on that topic, but one of the big things that the Orlando Sentinel is reporting is that analysts are warning Walt Disney World closure could last until mid-April, and that's a pretty conservative estimate. So these analysts, financial analysts, had come through and sort of made this claim. It sort of made this idea adjustment that based on everything that they're seeing, they think Disney parks domestically could remain closed until that time. We are hearing some rumors about Shanghai Disneyland and some of the Asian parks sort of eyeing a potential reopening date. Nothing really set in stone right now as to what that might look like, but obviously China is coming out of this on the other side right now, and it took about 2.5 good months of total chaos in that country to ensure that they're finally on the recovery end at this point. And so now there's discussion as to what that will look like, what the reopening in the Asian parks will potentially look like on that side of the globe. And of course, Disneyland Paris has joined the rest of the Disney park portfolio in remaining closed at this time. So we will check in with Gared Hassel in a little bit. He did file a report from Walt Disney World where he's going to chronicle for us just a little bit about Magic Kingdom's final night. As you look at footage here, courtesy of Disney Dave on YouTube, he flew over the Magic Kingdom, and you get to see just what an empty Magic Kingdom really looks like. Kind of eerie. We also covered this earlier this week at the Disneyland Resort on its final day of operation. We were there to see Downtown Disney's final hours, and the parks had already closed at that point. Unfortunately, it was gloomy and rainy, as it has been sort of unseasonably here in Southern California, and so it just sort of adds to the gloom. It just sort of adds to the depression that's already set in because of all of this. Very chilling indeed, that video, especially based on what we were seeing and how the music was still playing. I think more than anything that was eerie was, the music was still playing, and it was very loud because there were no people around. You just kind of forget how loud that music is, that atmosphere of music throughout Downtown Disney and the theme parks. So very chilling. Again, that video on our YouTube channel at the Kingdom Report, you can check that out. But how long will this go on? So we've seen some predictions there. We've seen some ideas. Those analysts projecting that domestic parks could remain closed through mid-April. What will a Disneyland and a Walt Disney World experience look like when it returns? I say we grab our crystal ball and make some predictions. Prediction circle time. Tyler Crouch, Katrina Manzone will be joining me for this to discuss what will Disneyland and Walt Disney World look like after this shutdown. Guys, there's so much to consider here. From a guest perspective, what will things look like? From a cast perspective, what will things look like? From a Disney company business standpoint, there's a lot to consider when we look at just even a 2.5 week shutdown. If they just remain to the current timeline that they put in place for closure, things are still dramatically going to change. They have to, based on everything that's already happened in terms of tens of millions of dollars lost every day with the global parks portfolio being shut down. So let's throw it over to you. What do you think the experience is going to look like after all of this passes?
Oh, man. I think the number one question that I have is what the crowd level is going to look like. Basically because I know tons of people are out there who want to rush back to their favorite place and are looking forward to coming back so much. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of people out there who think, oh, well, no, I think we should still kind of keep away from mass quantities of people. So the crowd level is just a question that I'm not sure of. After 9/11 happened, which was a completely different thing than this, it's kind of comparing apples and oranges in a certain way. But after 9/11 happened, the parks were all dead for a very long time. And so will that happen again? We're going to have to wait and see. Things like finger touches at the turnstiles over in Disney World. They may decide it's not a good idea to have everybody touch a surface like that anymore. Universal's going to have the same type of problem if they want to change that sort of thing. And
I feel like they're gonna limit capacity in a way, just to get people's peace of mind, because I feel like a lot of people are, like you said, they're gonna be nervous showing up to the park with mass quantities, kind of rushing back, because I know a lot of bloggers and stuff are definitely going to be coming back first day of opening, but I feel like Disney, to kind of keep a peace of mind for all the other people that are coming, they're going to limit capacity, maybe just to kind of do that and say that we're going to be cleaning stuff, and then maybe they might be doing limited hours too, to kind of help so they can thoroughly clean the parks and stuff after they close, instead of being open in midnight. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think we'll also see a lot more hand sanitizer everywhere. I think they're going to probably put literally. I think they're going to put stations in more places and have
hand washing stations.
Well,
stuff.
I don't even think hand washing stations. I just think Purell. I think because for a while now, I think I don't know how the rest of the world is going to be, but I feel like as a nation, at least what I'm finding in California is that everybody thinks that everything is dirty now. Which I was telling you guys earlier through text that I didn't used to be a guy who was afraid to touch shopping carts or baskets or anything like that. Now, every time I touch one, I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I have on me? And I've taken 2 showers a day. I've washed my hands like I'm a surgeon, just to try and keep that. But it's one of those things that, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm keeping clean.
You got to keep it clean.
You bet.
Is that microphone clean?
I know. Watch that microphone.
That's right. I'm not about to touch anything that will infect me, by God.
I clean that microphone after every host, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, please don't.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Spray it down with Lysol.
So it kind of makes you guys,
the other thing I'm kinda
absolutely. So it
wondering
kind of
is if
makes you
they're
guys
gonna-
wonder, on the back end of this, I mean, obviously cast members are getting paid right now. So that's one of the nice things that Disney is doing is they're paying their cast members for this 2.5-week shutdown. Beyond that, do you think that's going to continue? Do you imagine Disney is going to continue paying? I mean, there's 25,000 cast members at Disneyland. There's 70,000 plus at Disney World. Do you think, at some point Disney is going to sever that connection and say, obviously we can't keep paying for 2-3 months out when we're not seeing any profit, we're not seeing anything coming in?
Gosh,
Yeah.
I hope not.
They will.
But yeah.
I think they will. Especially, this is going to last longer than they even think. And we were talking about it last week, and I wish, I think it's going to last longer than last week's Tyler even thought.
Yeah.
We keep finding out new information and things keep changing on a daily basis. And you kind of just have to believe in what the CDC says. You kind of have to listen to, Anthony Fauci, and honestly, whatever Anthony Fauci says is what I'll do. So if he tells me to go jump off a bridge, I'd probably do it at this point, honestly.
It'll help. Go jump.
It'll come off you. The
Right.
virus will just jump off you.
But I just think I think that's right to think about that, is that this is going to last for quite a while, and they may find a way to create programs to help some of their cast members, but the average cast member, they're not going to continue to pay them a month, 2 months down the line. Once we get to the 2-month mark, can Disney really, everybody knows how much Disney has, but can they really afford to just throw themselves away like that? I mean, that's not, it's one thing to, be able to pay for things like entertainment or or keep on rides. It's another thing to just be like kind of throwing money away almost, which is not. I don't mean to sound it like they're doing that. That cast members aren't important, but I just mean that the cast members aren't actually working. So it's that's what I mean by throwing money away. But
Absolutely.
Do you think that the execs are going to take a pay cut to help with the people that are doing like hourly wages like Delta did?
I was just about to bring up Delta. The CEO of Delta Airlines taking a full salary cut to try and help.
JPEG.
Yeah, definitely attempting to make a difference, and knowing that the airline industry is going through quite a struggle right now. Nobody is traveling, and everybody is quite fearful of jumping on those planes. So that's a great point. Will executives, will people that make substantially more than say your frontline worker, will they take that pay cut? Will they make an attempt to try and ease the burden? Because I think you're right, Tyler. As sad as it is, as scary as it is to say, I mean, so many people outside of the Disney bubble lost their jobs in the last week, and so many individuals have been laid off left and right, just because they might be in a service industry position. I know there's word that came out about Landry's Restaurants, which owns and operates a lot of different spaces around Disney property on both coasts. Landry's ended up sort of laying off entire staffs, and there's no which way about it. There is no additional revenue that they're kicking in. There is no additional pay that they're giving anybody. It's just hey, hop in that unemployment line. It's a very scary time, and knowing that Disney is putting their best foot forward and paying people right now. I also worry how long that's really going to go on.
Along with the the poor cast members who are going to be unfortunately kind of cast aside like the rest of our society right now, it's you can also bet that they're not going to be spending as much money on all their projects that they had going forward. I mean, maybe the things that they have set for Epcot are set in stone. Hopefully that they're not going to cut back Epcot, but they're going to cut back their plans, no doubt about it. And so when we're talking about the e-ticket ride, that's coming to Avengers Campus, that'll probably get cut back in some way. I just, everything going forward here is going to have a new budget, and the budget's going to be very low. They're gonna lose probably $1 billion this year. So I mean, that's a lot of money for any company.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter how much money they have. So they're gonna have to find ways to turn that out somehow. So
you bet. And it's troubling to even think that so much of the cast member base is going to be radically affected by this. So many of them living paycheck to paycheck. So many of them trying to make ends meet on both coasts, and knowing that they're going to have to deal with this fallout is really tough. Again, I mentioned that other service industry institutions have already let people go in mass. So what Disney is doing, I think, is fantastic. Very grateful that they're continuing to pay people in the short term. Just don't know how long they can keep that up. And on top of everything, as we were discussing about here a little earlier, in terms of what the park experience might be like after all of this is said and done, and after sort of people recover and come out of this on the other side, Katrina, you had mentioned obviously the finger scans and stuff like that as you enter Walt Disney World, and your typical theme park guest might very well want to keep that 6-foot radius at all times from people going into the other side of this, because I think this might definitely change perspective for a lot of individuals when it comes to, are we really safe? Are we not? We're going to a crowded place. Let's everybody keep their distance. I keep hearing a lot about potentially virtual queues, for more and more attractions to try and eliminate the reason for people to sort of gather together. Would you guys be for more virtual queues?
Yeah.
I would 100% want virtual queues.
I would really like virtual queues, because then I can do other things, I don't know. But even then, I don't know. I'm still kind of curious on the whole band thing too, because even that has germs on it. So when you do and scan, and then let's say you touch your band, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about all these things that could possibly have germs on it. And it's so bad for
everything has germs on
sanity.
it.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering too. I'm honestly wondering if they're going to make sweeping big changes. Like if you walk into a sit-down restaurant, are they going to require you to use some type of hand wipe or Purell monorail station when you go in for a while. I mean, that could possibly happen. When you go to a quick service restaurant, are they going to put all of the utensils in the back now and let the cast members give you the utensils rather than having a big vat of utensils outside? Like, you know, I think they're going to have to kind of think about these things. I think we're going to kind of change as a society. I think you're going to go to the grocery store now and there's going to be, you know, Clorox wipes for every shopping cart you want to touch. And I think we're going to change as a society, not just at Disney, you know?
Yeah, I think a big psychological change is definitely going to happen for everybody coming out on the other side of this. And when you think about your Disney parks experience, you know, maybe now on sort of a lighter note, you know, you'll have some personal space when you dine at places like the Blue Bayou and, you know, the Mexican restaurant inside the Pyramid at Epcot. You won't be sitting on other people's tables and conversations. Maybe we really will be distanced out. And I can only hope that the same thing goes with the airline industry. Maybe we'll also see some space put in between seats, huh?
I really hope so. Wouldn't that be nice? No middle seats.
Right.
Can you do that for El Capitan too? Because those seats are way too close.
Here in Hollywood, absolutely.
Yeah,
Old-timey theater.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That'd be the best.
Yeah. Well, guys, when you think about your future from a Disney parks and a theme park going perspective, you know, are you going to change your behavior on the other side of this? You know, are you going to be thinking about the railings you touch and worried about the individuals, you know, that you're standing in line with that might be breathing on the back of your neck?
I guess I won't hug you anymore.
Please don't. No, I mean, I
think I might stay away from like people, like it makes sure like they're not like super close to me. And I think I might partially like get weirded out if people just keep coughing and like using their hand. Cause I even just the other day I went to like UPS and there was a guy literally sitting there at Starbucks outside and he was just like coughing out loud, like not even covering his mouth. And everybody like ran into the street to get away from him. And I feel like that I might do that for a couple months in line.
I think it's one of those things where after a while, I'll probably go back to being a little more relaxed. But, you know, it is going to be more at the forefront of my mind now than it ever has been before. Not to say I didn't wash my hands before, but maybe I would do like a quick wash or something like that, you know, not really use soap possibly, but now I'll probably use soap every time. And, you know, even though the soap at Disneyland, for example, has no germ-killing potential, it's 100% lotion-based. That still does help. It still does help when you are washing your hands to get stuff off. So, you know, every soap counts. A lot of people forget, I think, in this day that soap is actually more important than, like, Purell and stuff. So just, I think washing your hands is really going to be the thing that I do more often than I used to, even though, again, not saying I never wash my hands, but just it'll be something that's on my mind more for sure.
Yeah, you're far more cognizant of it now, absolutely. And I worry, like you guys said, you know, to a much lesser degree. Obviously, you know, we're all concerned about what's happening with the health effects of the coronavirus and everything that's going on with COVID-19. But from that Disney Parks perspective, you're absolutely right, Tyler. You mentioned a little bit earlier when it comes down to all the projects that were sort of happening at the moment. I know that Disneyland, as soon as the park closed, they raced into the parks themselves. Work crews did to start big infrastructure projects that they had been tabling for the last couple of years because they just never had time to do it, and it was always going to be a dramatic guest impact. So they sort of moved in to start these big initial projects to try and at least use the time wisely. And then within a couple of days, kind of what's happened across the country is, you know, we've watched as more and more orders have been sweeping through, dictating that now, you know, groups of 10 or more cannot congregate, and, you know, it needs to be less and less and less as they go on. You know, finally, it looks like the state of Florida is taking a little bit more of a sweeping action. They were kind of late to the party, I guess, in terms of the majority of the states that had already done so, and now beaches are being shut down. No more spring break partying, unfortunately, right? Yeah. Shame on them.
We've all seen that viral video. I mean, I got a little pissy when I saw that, but I'm glad that they're finally putting their, like, you know, their rules in order and like doing a curfew at night and trying to like get people off the beaches, and, you know, because everybody has to help one another. And if we can just stay away for a couple weeks and try to see if this curve or whatever thing will happen, then I mean, I hope that in the next couple weeks they start seeing like a decrease of people getting this virus. You know, that's all I wish.
Absolutely.
You know, it's I feel like this virus is going to be around until we have a vaccination for it. And
Flatten the curve.
And so when we get a vaccination, that's when we can stop worrying as much, I feel like. But because the thing is yeah, it might go, I feel like it's going to go up and down, right? So I think we're going to get into a down period and everything's going to sound like it's fine. And then if we start going out more, it's going to come back again. And, there's flu season. The flu never really goes away, and Corona will never really go away. It's going to be with us for the rest of our life. But at least hopefully we'll make this vaccination for it, and we can live our lives, Corona free, except for the beer. We'll keep the beer around. Yeah,
grab yourself a lime. Absolutely. Disney Cruise Line obviously shut down as well. Everything Disney Parks experience is completely shuttered at this point. And Disney Cruise Line, obviously one of those places that already, to a certain degree, Chris Collins in our Facebook live chat just mentioned, obviously a place that already does a significant amount of ultra cleaning, like over obsessive cleaning and hand sanitizer and napkin type sanitation everywhere you go. Basically, whenever you walk into a dining hall, whenever you walk into a different room, you'll grab yourself another sort of disinfectant wipe, and they always stress how important sanitation is on board. So it might not be all that unlikely that we see that come to Disney parks. And we already were seeing a lot of the hand washing stations pop up within the final week of the parks being open. And definitely the hand sanitation, Purell pump locations that were just popping up all over the place. But we certainly want to know what's on your mind. Obviously, this is a very scary time for not just everyone in society, because it's all unprecedented, but as a Disney Parks fan, there's probably a lot that you have on your mind about what's going to happen. And maybe you had a vacation plan, now it's been shuttered. So we want to hear from you. Is there something that's on your mind you want to sound off, you want to share what's happening? Give us a call, 323-524-2599. That's 323-524-2599. And we'll begin to take your calls in just a little bit and definitely see happening in your neck of the woods, and what things are like being in your own version of quarantine, and how you're keeping your spirits up. Disney Parks fans are some of the most optimistic in the world, and so we just want to hear from you. So what's shaking, what's going on? 323-524-2599. Give us a call there. So you may have noticed our own Gared Hassel, he's not with us today. He is on assignment, but he did file this report sort of recapping his experience as he was at the final night of Magic Kingdom park operations, as Magic Kingdom closed in Walt Disney World recently. He was there to experience it all. Here with the story is Gared Hassel and Gared on the Go.
Hey there friends, Gared here for Gared on the Go Time, and I want to tell you a story of something I got to experience a few days ago. Now, a few days ago, Walt Disney World, the parks officially closed, and it was a very sad moment for many people in the fact that Walt Disney World, the place where dreams come true, the most magical place on earth, had closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I thought I owed it to myself as well as to you fine folks to go and experience what being at the Magic Kingdom would be like on its last day, at least for the foreseeable future. And I'm just going to take you through that. So when I went into the park, there were a lot of people going in. There were only about 4 stations open, and they weren't doing the thumbprint. They were just simply doing the tap and go. So went in there, just walked around, and then I got in around 8 o'clock and fireworks were at 9, so walked around for a little bit and then finally got my spot for the fireworks right in front of the castle, and I watched the fireworks, and they had a different feeling than they usually do. So happily ever after, very cute show. For many people, this will be the last time they'll see it for a long time or ever, but this was especially important because this was the last time the participants of the college program would get to see these as really college program participants, because they were essentially removed from their program. So the college program people, they were there watching it, and I was looking around while watching it, and I could see tears getting into eyes because this is so emotional for them because they are no longer a cast member. And I know what that's like to go from being a cast member to not being a cast member. It's a very weird transformation in that sense. But we go on, we keep watching the show, and finally the grand finale goes on. And actually, before we get to there, after each major section of Happily Ever After, the Tangled section where the lanterns lift up, you heard clapping. Then after the heroes defeated the villain, you heard clapping. And then finally, when you hear that final part by Jordan Fisher, after you hear their final section, and then you see the grand finale, everyone was cheering, and you just see everyone hugging and crying and kissing. And it was very emotional. I was just taking it all in, just seeing what everything was going on. And Ariel was there with me, and I was able to hug her and just tell her that I love her. And you know what? This isn't the end for Disney. It's not the end. And then after that, we proceeded to head towards Main Street, where on Main Street, similar to what they did at Disneyland out in California, they had the president of Walt Disney World out there, Josh D'Amaro, along with Mickey and some of his friends in this clip that we have to share with you. And at first, it was just some cast members waving, and it was nice to see them waving goodbye. But then you see Josh come out, and he's smiling, he's taking pictures with the cast members, and he has a Mickey Mouse glove on, and he's waving. And for me, it was, I got chills seeing it, just because that is what a leader should be. When times are tough, they don't hunker down in the back, they come out and they say, you know what, we're gonna do this, and they have some spirit. So he's waving. And then after about 30-ish minutes or so of waiting around 9:30, 9:45, Mickey and his pals came out. You had close to probably 15, 20 characters out there. You had Tiana, you had Mickey, Minnie, the Fab Five, Donald, Goofy. You even had Clarabelle Cow coming out, Horace Collar. I never thought I'd see those guys. You had Cinderella. But it was very bittersweet seeing it, in that bitter in that you don't want these guys to go away and not see them for a while. But it was sweet in the fact that they were giving you a proper send-off for you don't know how many days. They were saying, you know what, the magic's still here, and I'm getting a little choked up. Excuse me. Oh, shouldn't touch my eyes. Forget it. But they were saying, you know what, the magic still lives on in each one of us, and that's what I preach to you out there, that it's never over. The magic is forever in us, as long as the idea and thoughts that Walt put into his parks, as long as we have that too, then Disney will never end. And excuse me, I didn't think I'd get emotional, but seeing Mickey there waving at everyone, being like Mickey's everyone's best friend. Granted, Donald had to steal the spotlight for a little bit, but overall it was a proper send-off, as good as they could have given it. And then the characters begin to leave, but there are only two characters that stay around. That's Mickey and Minnie, and then you have Josh there just hanging out with them, and they're waving, giving hugs, and taking pictures. And who else would you want to say goodbye to you other than Mickey Mouse, his girl Minnie, and then probably the most powerful person at Walt Disney World, which is the president of Walt Disney World. And so it's very bittersweet and sweet that Disney will come back. It will come back stronger, better, and have amazing things. It's going to be tough for a while. There's probably going to be cuts and stuff, but that's for another day. But it's sweet that Disney is coming back. It's bitter that Disney's going to be gone for a while, but we can still watch it in our homes, whether it's on Disney Plus, whether it's the shows, the movies, or you can watch it online, whether it's with us here, or you can watch point of views of rides or stuff at the parks, or just whatever else is out there. So Disney's not gone as long as we remember it. It's sort of like the memory of a person. A person's never gone as long as you remember them in your heart, right? That's the truth of it. But to leave you guys, I want to leave you with a quote from Walt. I'll try and do my best, and then I'll do some lovely little words. So Walt once said, "You can design and create and build the most wonderful place in the world, but it takes people to make the dream a reality." But I think that's true. That's not just talking about the physical creation of Walt Disney World or Disneyland or anything Disney, but rather like us as guests and us as cast members and all that. We are what make it a reality. You can have a park and you can have cast members, but you have no guests, nothing happened there. Or you can have guests but no cast member. You need everyone going together. And so Walt truly was ahead of his time. He was a man Walt's just Walt, but I'm sure he's looking down on us, and he knows that we're going to get through this. Thank you all so much for listening to my story about getting to see the final day of Magic Kingdom closing and getting to see the characters and Josh and all his cast members waving goodbye to everyone. Thank you for putting up with my tears as well. But just know I love you all. I'm going to be out here. I'm still going to keep bringing you Disney stuff. I'm sure I'll get into some antics, but there's going to be a vlog coming out of my adventures here in Disney Springs on when it's barely open. But thank you all so much. Just remember, Disney's always going to be here as long as it's in our heart. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So, in the words of Mickey Mouse, see you real soon, folks.
Kingdom Team All Call time. It is time to get your perspective, your thoughts on what's shaken in Disney parks from coast to coast. It's time for you to sound off. We have questions that we've accumulated throughout the week, both on our videos, on the Kingdom Report on YouTube, as well as via our social media. A lot of people with a lot of different concerns, a lot of different questions right now. But we do want to jump to someone that's waiting on the line with us, area code 916. Let's go to them now. What's your first name and what's on your mind?
Mr. Heath, it's Brian.
Oh, hello, Brian. What is shaken, sir? What do you have to share?
You know what? We're just hunkered down here in a house full of anarchy, and we've got kids running everywhere, breaking things, screaming. It's just a normal deal.
Well, that's got to be a lot of fun. Tell me about the hunkering down when it comes to keeping Disney alive in your household. What are you doing?
At the moment, we've got a Disney Parks themed Candyland out on our coffee table.
Oh,
I believe The Nightmare Before Christmas is playing on the TV in front of it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not in that room, but it's a good bet.
That's great. And mentioning that you have kids, how have you explained what's happening? Obviously, parents are home a lot more, and probably kids are sticking around a lot more inside more than they ever have. What have you been able to share with your children?
We're just we're kind of doing what we can do, Wade. We're doing the best we can. You lean to YouTube. You kind of lean on the YouTube for parenting tutorials you never thought you'd have to use. We've got science experiments. We've got kind of a homeschooling regimen going, a lot of coloring, a lot of reading, as much outdoor activity as we can get into. Everything that we probably should have been doing prior to an imposed quarantine, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And
I
is this going to
I hope you're avoiding some Lego landmines around there, though. There's got to be some. The kids,
not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. They're all over the place.
Oh no! Watch your feet.
Lots and lots of pain. So is Disneyland your park of choice, Brian? Are you concerned about what things look like on the other side of this?
Absolutely. It always has been. Growing up down there, it was just a place that we went there constantly, and my wife and I have been going there since we first started dating 15 years ago. And it's one thing, you guys have touched on what the park experience is going to be on the other side of this. And something that comes to mind just personally for me as I hear you guys talk about that is this is kind of an opportunity for people. It's bad right now. There's a lot of things worse than for people's personal lives than Disneyland being shut down. I guess it's a matter of perspective, but I think it's a time where when this all blows over and people get back into the parks, it's a time that people can approach the parks with maybe less of a consumer mindset and get back to being in the park in that romanticized version you have in your mind when you're not there. I'm sure you guys can all relate. When you're not in the park, you think about it in a certain way. And I'll say again, romanticizing your experience in the park, and then you get there, and you do all the things, and then you spend all the money, and you have the time, and it's stressful, but it's fun, and there's different experiences for everybody. But I think we can all get back to this and be in Disneyland for what it is and what it was meant to be, instead of going there for the latest and greatest thing, and being irritated by lines, and it's funny because right now we're in a time where we don't have the choice to be in the park and form those opinions. So all we have right now is to lean on the memories of when we were there, and maybe that's something for people to consider to gain some perspective right now.
What a great way to put it. And I completely agree with you. I think more than anything, this entire experience has taught me what to be most grateful for. And certainly when I think about Disneyland and when I think about my experiences there and sort of what I miss the most about the place, even though it's only been a couple of days for anybody that's local, right? And it's only been a couple of days for a lot of us that, it's in our backyard. It's certainly something that you don't know what you have until it's gone. It's one of those sorts of situations, and not being able to have access to it, not being able to go play in our happy place, it's hard, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It is, but we it's a time to get back to family, and it's a time to do, like I mentioned before, maybe it's an opportunity for people to start doing things that we all talk about and we all like to put out on social media that we are doing, maybe a little less than we should be, but reading with your kids, playing, walking outside, doing all the things that don't involve screen time or just staring at each other from across the room with a phone in your hand. It's now's the time to start doing that, and maybe we can continue that when we're not threatened by a virus.
Yeah, no kidding. And I so appreciate your perspective on the matter, being a father and looking at this from that point of view. I'm sure really does put things in perspective. And it's hard when you're a Disney fan and when you're somebody that really does love that Disney bubble and loves going to the theme parks and stuff like that, to know that your happy place, the place where you go to escape really with your family, to know that the real world has sort of encroached on that and dramatically altered your ability to appreciate that. I so respect though that you're right. It's time to get back to family. It's time to get back to the things that we probably should have been doing all along. And it's a heck of a whammy of a way to put things in perspective for us, but maybe we come out of this stronger, better people, and happier for it.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on your mind? Any questions for us? Anything else you have on your mind for Disney parks?
Not. I don't think I have any real questions. I know you've probably got other callers on the line, but I do appreciate what you guys are doing. This Kingdom Report's been pretty awesome. It's a great addition to my podcast regimen when I'm in my truck at work, and we've enjoyed watching it. So just thanks to you guys for doing this. And we're definitely hoping to visit the park one day soon. We'll see you out there, I'm sure.
Wow, it means a lot. Thanks for taking the time out of your day, Brian. Best to your family.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys.
Thanks for that.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Guys, so one of the questions that we had earlier this week that was sent to us really did ask what our perspective was on the timeline for this. And, it's something that we touched on a little bit earlier today already, but what we anticipate as being the timeline for the parks to potentially reopen. If you're to take your best guess, and we're all grasping at straws right now, given that this coronavirus continues to play with all timelines, and it's all about how fast we can recover. What do you think? I mean, what do you think might be a safe bet? I've heard from the CDC that this could last as long as into July potentially. Would you tell people to cancel trips? Would you tell people to hold on to their reservations? What say you, Tyler and Katrina?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be at least a couple months probably, and I think that's kind of that's a generous kind of guess. I feel like it could be longer than that even, but I think what you were kind of saying earlier, about cancellations and stuff, I don't think you should be canceling your vacation right now. I think you should have you should keep it there until, a week ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time. I mean, if you really don't think you're going to feel safe being at a Disney park, then do cancel it. But as we said, we were talking about it last week. Honestly, right now with these phone numbers, they don't really want to hear from you unless your vacation is in the next couple weeks. They're very busy right now, and they've got a lot going on, and obviously many people calling them. And so if your vacation isn't happening soon, keep it. There's no reason to cancel it right now. And everybody's taking a guess. Everybody is guessing on how long this is going to take. So with no firm guideline on that, besides just, hearing what the CDC says, you just kind of have to take it as hopefully by June this stuff is open, but it's probably looking crazy. You're making fun of the term unprecedented earlier, but really that's the way to describe it, because I have never seen anything like this ever. I'm sure very few people I've ever seen anything like this. So
everyone's using the term. That's why I mock it, because there's no other word to describe it, right?
I mean, I'm sure there's other words to describe it, but you're right. Everybody is using it, it does get kind of silly when, all we have to do is sit at home and watch the news and hear everybody say unprecedented. But it really is, the easiest way to describe it. So, that's what we're going through right now, and that's what we're going to have to deal with.
I do have to point out, and like what Tyler said, so speaking as like a travel agent side of this, I know people are scared. I know people are nervous about traveling, and you have every right to be nervous, and you have every right to maybe want to cancel your plans. But what I would say is don't cancel your plans, extend them. Disney and a lot of other companies are allowing you free, not like free cancellation, but just to extend out your date like a little bit longer. So if you just want to change your dates, I would say change your dates, don't cancel. And you can extend it out as far as you want until like December or whatever, because then at that point you can change it again if you really want to. But be kind to your travel agents. And if you're using one, don't cancel, because that hurts them too. And right now, this is probably the worst time to be an agent as well. So I know you're nervous. I'm nervous about traveling, but I would just say extend it out, to like a couple months, and I'm sure everything will be kind of running smoothly. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be running smoothly, but it's gonna be like.
Well, I think the bottom line is that everybody needs to remember is that we're all gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's my advice from last week doesn't change this week. A lot of things have changed, but my advice stays the same. That we're in a serious predicament, but we're gonna be okay. Don't panic. And just give this some time. We're lucky that we live in the age of the internet and streaming video, and just any type of entertainment you want is right on your little tiny cell phone. I mean, we're lucky that we get to do this with what we have. I've been playing Animal Crossing all day yesterday. It's been an exciting day. So, it's a good thing that we live now. Just remember that, I mean, this is like a type of war, and we don't have to leave our couches to fight it. So, I mean, we're kind of lucky in that regard. We'll be okay, everybody. Don't panic. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we will get to the other side of this. A bit of a deeper question here from Gabriel Chan. He asks, what does losing Disney parks, even if it's only a little while, what does losing Disney parks mean to you personally? We are without our happy place. We are without our escape. What does it mean to you guys on a personal level not to have a Disney park to visit and to sort of be restricted in that ability? Obviously, we're all doing our part, and not going to Disneyland is not a hassle for anyone. I don't think. We're all doing the best we can. But on a personal level, I mean, this is a place that welcomes everyone and allows everybody to truly get away from the harsh realities of the world, which is why I think it's so popular in times of crisis. You look back at the 2008 market crash. It's a story that I told all new hires that came through my classes as a Disney leader way back when, and it was something that I always shared was when the 2008 market crash hit, Disney braced for impact, just assuming that if people were already having trouble putting food on the table, they weren't going to be able to afford a Disney trip. And the exact opposite happened, and we saw attendance shoot through the roof. Everybody came rushing in. Everybody was finding a way to afford a Disney vacation and Disney tickets because they just needed the escape from the harsh realities of the world for a bit. And that's really what Disney has always been there to do, is to help you get lost for a while. So what does it mean to you guys on a personal level to lose Disney parks for a bit?
It's a little hard. I mean, that's like my happy place. I always love going there and escaping reality. I loved going there to visit with friends, just to kind of enjoy people's presence. And now it's kind of gone, and you feel like you, I don't know, like lost a limb or something, just because I did love going and visiting with friends and grabbing a drink and just having like that personal level. And now we can't see them for the next couple of weeks, and I feel lonely.
It sounds corny, but I think the main thing for me is the loss of like the meeting place to meet people and friends. Like the friends that we have now are all associated with Disney. Like not they all work for Disney, but we all love Disney, and we all meet at Disney and we do things at Disney together. And it's really tough not having that outlet anymore. And it's a nice way to go out on a weekend and be outside, and you can be outside while still enjoying that themed environment that you love. It is a huge bummer.
Yeah, you bet. And Producer Kurtz, it's a place that you like to go with your wife quite often. For all of us that are locals, it's pretty awesome to have Disneyland in our backyard. Not everybody gets that opportunity. When it comes down to it, does it touch you personally, losing a happy place like this? I mean, what are your thoughts?
It's hard because you become so accustomed to something, you don't realize how great it is until you've lost it.
Sure. And
it's definitely gotten that point where, like I'm having a bad day, I could just pop over to Disneyland for the day. It's fun, and to not have that, as I was saying earlier, it's like, they've cut out so much, and so many people have said that, only the real things that matter are here now. The people that matter, and not to say that doctors and everything else don't matter, but we've just lost so much fun.
Yeah.
With these past couple of weeks, so much art that we can't do anymore. Can't go to a movie theater. Can't do any of that fun stuff that everyone used to do. And we're gonna get through it. It just feels like everything's a little more gray.
Yeah.
A little less happy, and we just need to get through this, get over it, get back to Disneyland.
You're right. A little more gray is a good way to put it. I think that, as I'd mentioned a little earlier here today, and legitimately it has been gray here in Southern California. I mean, sort of unseasonable amounts of rain and cold fronts. And so it feels even more sort of apocalyptic that no one's outside. Everything is gray, which is very unusual for Southern California. And, now we are losing, you're right, our art, our ability to really enjoy ourselves out in public, and it's a small sacrifice to make to try and stop the chaos that is ensuing and the illness that is spreading. But it's very difficult to lose such a part of life that was right there for us every step of the way, and we've never really had to do without. So very deep questions here this week. Want to thank Brian for his incredibly strong call and an understanding that we might be challenged right now. We might be dealing with some hard truths, but at the same time, we're surrounded by family, we're surrounded by loved ones, and we have the ability to, forge on and probably be doing some of the things that we should have been doing before this. So there are always ways to look at the glass half full. Stay where you are. More Kingdom Report Live for you next.
Hey Kingdom team, do you need more magic in your life? We understand, which is why we connect you to more of what makes you happy 3 times a week. Catch our theme park coverage, vlogs, and reviews every Tuesday and Thursday. And experience the Kingdom Report Live, streaming every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. That's new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. crafted with you in mind. Don't miss out. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications at The Kingdom Report on YouTube, and catch every update throughout the week at Kingdom Report Live on social media. See you there!
Disney List time. This week's Disney List is all about the Disney Plus content that we're streaming right now to help keep us entertained as we live a life of quarantine. So what Disney Plus content are you streaming while in quarantine? Obviously, Disney Plus launching here not too long ago, and now has provided us so much content that we did not have before, especially when it comes to so much archived matters of the Disney Channel and the Disney vaults, and now certain things are accessible to us that were not previously. Joining me here for this Disney List, Katrina Manzone and Tyler Crouch, producer Kurt as well. Tyler, Katrina, what are you guys streaming right now? What are you using to keep you upbeat?
Well, I have been watching the Disney fairy tale wedding, so I've been binging that, and I love them to death. And critiquing things that I would probably do when I get married.
She gets so angry. She says, "I would do not ever do that." She gets very upset. Okay, all right, make a note of it.
Girl, yeah. I would never choose that dress. But other than that, and then I watched I've been going back to the 90s, early 2000s, and watching the old original Disney Channel movies, like Horse Sense and what is it, My Stepsisters from Planet Weird or whatever.
Yeah.
13th year, random old things that I've never seen. And then today I just started what is it called? Jumping Ship. And then I totally forgot it was a sequel to Horse Sense. So that just blew my mind. I totally forgot. So anyway, that's what I'm doing, is just rehashing things from the past.
Do you guys have
any of those movies? But
do you guys by chance have
a
favorite Disney Channel series that you've been able to dive into at all? Have you brought up any old Disney Channel series?
No, I mean, I tried watching I've been watching the Little Mermaid series, but I really want to see Aladdin, the series, but I don't think it's on there. But I've been watching the Little Mermaid one for sure.
I never got attached to any Disney Channel series ever. Even throughout my whole life, I don't know why I never got into Even Stevens or anything like that. Which is
shame on you.
Kind of that should have been I was the right age for that. So I don't know. I just never got into it. I was a Nickelodeon kind of guy.
Right, Lizzie McGuire.
All the time. Yeah, I never got into Lizzie McGuire either. But are you watching currently a series, Wade?
I am, mainly because, and I like to preface this by saying Disney Channel series are meant to be lighthearted and fun and kind of, not to knock anybody's creativity, stupid, right? They're all very much sort of engaging, silly, over the top, ridiculous, and that's what the Disney Channel mode of.
That's so Raven.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's over the top, and it really helps you escape. And that's what I've always, sort of turned to the Disney Channel shows. They're all, very vibrant colors that they use in all of their scenes, and every child is more intelligent than the adult in the room, and it's fantastic. So to answer your question, what I am currently streaming when it comes to a Disney Channel series is Raven's Home, believe it or not.
Yes!
Oh.
Yeah.
It's so silly, but I love it.
It's the same.
I need to watch it. I need to watch I stopped watching it the first season.
It's the best.
Didn't pay for Disney anymore, the Disney Channel.
To have her back, after that initial run with That's So Raven, to have Raven's Home and that sort of continuation, you still get all the hijinks, all the antics. She's carried it on into adulthood, but now she has kids, and she's there with her best friend from the original series, and she has her child with her, and they all kind of live together, and each of them has a different life circumstance. It's hilarious and totally worth checking out. And again, it kind of gets you lost in just how silly it is, and you forget about those harsh realities of the world. I also appreciate what's that?
I said that is so Raven.
That is so Raven. You bet. I also really appreciate, and Dee in chat also says this, a lot of the Nat Geo, National Geographic offerings that are on Disney Plus as part of the parent deal. She mentions that she's binge watched 14 seasons of The Incredible Dr. Pol. A lot of free time there. Good for you,
Go,
D.
D.
You know all the ins and outs of Dr. Pol, I'm sure. I watched recently Exploring the Titanic with James Cameron from Nat Geo. Fascinating.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, very,
I would
very
be into that.
captivating.
Maybe I should go check that out. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, you should honestly go check out the Jeff Goldblum show too, on all that Nat Geo stuff. I really love that show. We watched it back when it came out, but if you haven't seen it, I recommend that you go and check it out, because not only do you learn things about, you know, random junk here and there, but you also get to see that crazy Jeff Goldblum do his Jeff Goldblum thing. So,
he's so wacky.
He's really nuts. Yeah, and did you have anything else you were watching over there, Wade?
Yeah, so definitely been going back into my my kid classic films, you know, the ones that I would watch over and over again when I had it on like VHS or DVD. I love to go back and take a look at the sports type films. So Remember the Titans is one that, it's one of my all-time favorite films, period. But I love going back and watching that, because that really does take you to a different time. You know, obviously back in the 60s, and you got Denzel Washington, and you know, you've got your whole roster of soon-to-be megastars, and it's such a great story. I love that. And the other thing that disappoints me, though, because I went looking for this the other day, D2 The Mighty Ducks, not available until next year, and it says so.
No knuckle pucks.
Yeah, no knuckle pucks. What
that's
what the puck?
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
watch it.
Family show, right?
You can't say that.
I just watched Rookie of the Year last week, and I forgot how kooky that was. Such a silly movie. but
Funky butt loving.
Good. I love it.
That's what he says.
For me, I've been watching the obvious stuff. I watched Frozen 2 because that obviously came out early.
You said
everybody,
obviously.
I'm sure,
Yeah, that's obvious.
Everybody has already watched that. Obviously.
Obviously.
It's obvious that everybody is obviously watching that. And then, of course, it's not out yet, but I'm just going to throw Onward on there because I'm going to be watching Onward the day it comes out, April 3rd. It's really cool that they released it. You can go and watch it now, but I can wait for it to be on Disney Plus. I've waited long
I
enough.
got my tissues ready. I'm
Yeah,
going to sit here and start crying in private. So.
I'm so excited. I've never been more excited, but also more scared of a movie. Like, I think it's going to make me just bawl my eyes out. So
You're afraid of the emotional impact.
I am afraid of the emotional impact. A lot of people know that I've recently lost my dad, and it's not super recent anymore, I guess, but recent enough for me. And you know, this movie is very much about two brothers who want to speak to their dad again one more time, who has passed away or something has happened to him. I don't know. I've been trying to stay away from it as much as I can. So,
Getting dad back, just half of them though.
Yeah.
I saw the preview.
So, just the pants apparently.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But I'll see. I'm sure there's more to that once you watch the actual movie. But the last thing that I've been watching a lot of, and that I think everybody needs to go and do themselves a favor and watch if you haven't, are all the Mickey shorts that started coming out in 2008.
Great point.
That whole list of Mickey shorts is on Disney Plus right now. And you can start on season 1, episode 1, and I guarantee you by the end of the day, you'll still be watching them and you'll still be as into it as you were from the start. Like, to me, they're fantastic. They really kind of celebrate more of those. They celebrate those Walt Disney cartoons more than a lot of people think just by looking at that art style. When you look at the art style, it's easy to be like, "Oh, I don't like Ren and Stimpy" or something like that, so I'm not going to be into this. But if you get past the kind of like, I don't want to say gross art style of it, but it definitely has a weird. I guess gross is a decent word for it. It just doesn't look right sometimes.
Raw.
It's kind of out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, raw. That's a good way to put it. You know, get past the art style. You'll see a lot of Disney parks love. You'll see a lot of Walt Disney love. You'll see a lot of great little Easter eggs. And to me, honestly, we'll sit there and laugh at that cartoon. I can't think of any other cartoon that makes me laugh like that these days. And I'm just laughing at like slapstick humor. You know, it's like I shouldn't be laughing at somebody getting hit in the face because I'm a 34-year-old man, but I am. So
real immature.
Yeah, I know, really. But you know, and honestly, we talked about Runaway Railway recently too. Go watch those to get affiliated. You know, get affiliated with those shorts. Then go on Runaway Railway, and I guarantee you'll appreciate Runaway Railway more.
Yeah.
So I just think That's a great thing to sit and watch for a while because you can definitely binge watch that.
Yeah, I recently, I was mentioning to you guys a little bit earlier, a Goofy movie. You want to talk about being totally captivated and going back to a simpler time. A Goofy movie will do it for you each and every time with Lester's Possum Park and all of the great, especially Bigfoot's appearance, all the great little cameos that you see of the Disney characters within a Goofy movie. If you've never seen a Goofy movie, bring it up on Disney Plus. Check it out. It's such a classic, so underrated, and got one of the greatest soundtracks of all time too, with Powerline.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And the opening song too. I love the opening song of that movie.
Yeah,
it's really great. I think I listened to it over and over again as a kid. I just, after today, and I'm
Max and Roxanne.
I do love Goofy movie. Yeah, Max and Roxanne. Whatever happened to Roxanne? They should put Roxanne in more stuff.
You know what? Bring her back. Now's the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And producer Kurt, when it comes to your favorite Disney Plus streamables right now, what are you watching?
So I've been getting into the Mickey and Minnie shorts.
You too.
Because of your guys' lovely recommendations.
Oh, you guys hear that?
Kind of gotten into that a bit.
Yes.
So I have been watching that, but I've also there's an old school show that I used to watch when I was younger called Gargoyles that's on there.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I forgot about that.
It's really good. So I've been rewatching that, and that's a really good one to watch. That Rescue Rangers, you got to go back to the classics. Chippendale Rescue
Rangers.
Yeah,
So
old school DuckTales. So, just everything from my childhood. It's fun to watch and relive that since I can't really do anything else.
Right. So, well, our buddy Brandon in YouTube chat says he's watching the new DuckTales series. So I hear great things about it. I haven't had the opportunity to catch it myself, but we all got plenty of time. I'll be checking it out soon. And then Tiki Andy says the Sweet Life on deck to get the cruise fix as well. Very smart. If you can't jump on
Andy.
board a real cruise line,
Get it.
Sweet Life on deck.
Right.
Mr. Mosby.
Yeah. And then in their first iteration of that show, they lived in a hotel too, right? So if you're missing the resorts, watch the first iteration. If you want to go on a cruise, watch the second.
That's right.
It's a good point, Tiki Andy. Look at this guy.
Smart guy. Absolutely. Well, that'll wrap up our discussion for what we're streaming on Disney Plus right now while in quarantine. What are you streaming? What are you making sure you get caught up on? Are there any series from the past you're taking a look at? Let us know in the comment section, or you know what? Send us an email, kingdomreportlive@gmail.com, and share what you're doing to keep your Disney focus while you're under quarantine, keeping that magic alive. More Kingdom Report Live straight ahead. Don't you go anywhere. We're going to finish up.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential Legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. You are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
Hard to believe it, but that brings us to the close of today's Kingdom Report Live. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself, took a break from that wild quarantine. Maybe we got you thinking about some more magical ideas, a few more happier thoughts. I know we still had to cover coronavirus, but I promise here in the near future, we're going to go back to the way that we were always doing things and really focusing on some of that extra magic to make sure that you walk away feeling good about yourself, feeling good about the Disney Parks experience. So we will be back with you once again next Saturday. So don't think that we're going anywhere. We're here for you. Don't you worry. We are going to get through this together, and we're definitely going to make sure that you get your Disney fix one way or another. Tyler and Katrina, let's check in with you guys. Any final notes, anything we need to be aware of on attractionfaction.net this week?
Right now, we can't really go to the parks. So.
No?
Yeah. No,
I mean, we
it's
have
weird.
that castle, but it's pretty still.
Yeah, I don't
What are they
know.
going on over
Honestly,
there?
if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can see what I'm up to in Animal Crossing. I made Andy's wallpaper cloud stuff. You know,
I
the
saw
clouds in
that.
Andy's room. I made that. Animal Crossing. Why not? You got to get your Disney fix any way you can. So decided to make my room look like Andy's.
You're full of creative juices. Look at you.
Oh, thank you. Maybe next I'll do like the Haunted Mansion wallpaper or something. We'll see. But yeah,
calm down
honestly, it's gonna be tough to do anything theme park related for us. So we'll continue to obviously do the Kingdom Report with you via our home for the foreseeable future. But other than that, we're just gonna be hanging out and living our best quarantine life.
Yeah,
Doing your part.
that's true.
Well, we appreciate that. Well, you guys stay safe. And as for the rest of you, just remember that the legacy of Walt Disney, it lives on because of people like you and me, even in these uncertain times, even in times of great worry and fear and hysteria. There's still a lot of positive in the world, still a lot of good things to be looking at and understanding that good stuff exists, good people exist. And every day we're seeing acts of kindness that are happening nationwide. And individuals are going out of their way to help not only their families, but to help one another. So keep in mind that, the legacy of Walt Disney, not only does it live on because of people like you and me, it gets through anything. Because the legacy of Walt Disney, it's powerful, it's magical, right? And so when we get to the other side of this, we can all celebrate together by going to a Disney park and having a 6 foot by 6 foot distance between each other, but we'll all party in a group, I think, just as long as we keep our social distancing. So at any rate, you can follow us at Kingdom Report Live on social media, and make sure that if you're not already, subscribe to the Kingdom Report on YouTube. We still have new content coming for you each and every week, so that doesn't stop. So we've got some more videos coming for you this week. You can check out the final night at the Magic Kingdom. Gared out in Walt Disney World is going to have that for you. And a trip on the Mark Twain Riverboat right before Disneyland Park closed its gates, so you'll get to experience that. A point of view perspective video that will really help soothe your nerves and really get you in the frame of mind to be in the park. A total point of view video that I think will be very helpful in sort of captivating you and giving you that park fix that you're looking for. Once again, it's been a great pleasure being with you. We wish you a very safe week, and we will see you right back here next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, for an all-new Kingdom Report Live.